She was a nurse trusted with saving lives. But instead, Kristen Gilbert became a silent killer in white scrubs, a woman who used the chaos of medical emergencies as her playground. Known as the Angel of Death, her story would shake the foundations of the U.S. Veterans Affairs healthcare system. Today, we dive into how a mother, wife, and professional caregiver turned into one of New England's most dangerous serial killers, and we remember the patients whose lives she stole. Kristen Heather Strickland was born on November 13, 1967, in Fall River, Massachusetts. Her family was middle class and, on the surface, quite ordinary. As a teen, she was described as intelligent, popular, and charming, but manipulative and prone to compulsive lying. Some former classmates recall her faking medical emergencies and threatening suicide to get attention. These traits would grow deadlier with time. After high school, Kristen attended Greenfield Community College, then Western Massachusetts College of Nursing. She graduated with honors and became a registered nurse, eventually marrying Glenn Gilbert and having 2 children. To outsiders, she was living the American dream. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. In the early 1990s, Kristen Gilbert began working at the Northampton Veterans Affairs Medical Center. Known to her colleagues as efficient and confident, Kristen also had a tendency to take charge during emergencies. But something wasn't right. Staff noticed that deaths seemed unusually common during her shifts, so common that some joked she had a killer touch. It wasn't a joke for long. From 1995 to 1996, the death rate in her ward more than tripled. Patients, many of them stable, suffered sudden, inexplicable cardiac arrests. Kristen was often the first to respond, earning praise in chaotic situations she had orchestrated. Kristen's weapon of choice was epinephrine, a medication used to treat severe allergic reactions and heart failure. But when injected into healthy individuals or in large doses, it causes cardiac arrest. Kristen used it with chilling precision, often avoiding documentation. She sometimes injected the drug directly into foreports without noting it in records. Kristen Gilbert was eventually convicted of killing 4 veterans and admitted killing 40 others herself. Stanley Jagodowski, 66, a World War II veteran, was admitted for routine treatment and died of sudden cardiac arrest in February 1996. Henry Huden, 35, a Persian Gulf War veteran suffering from schizophrenia, died unexpectedly after being in relatively stable condition. Edward Squire, 69, a Korean War veteran, went into cardiac arrest without warning. Kenneth Cutting, 41, was undergoing treatment for depression when he suddenly collapsed. 2 additional patients, who were not named publicly for privacy reasons, were believed to have survived attempted murders by Kristen. These men served their country and went to the VA for care. They never imagined their greatest threat would come from the person assigned to help them. As death tolls rose, other nurses began tracking a pattern. Kristen's presence nearly always coincided with unexplained deaths. Rumors turned into concern, and anonymous tips reached federal authorities. The FBI launched a full investigation. Surveillance was tightened, autopsies ordered, and drug logs examined. Hospital records showed that epinephrine was being accessed but not documented as administered. In some cases, vials of the drug had been disposed of or went missing during Kristen's shifts. In March 1998, Gilbert resigned and checked herself into a psychiatric hospital after a suspicious fire was set near her home. A fire prosecutor said she lit herself to divert attention. In July 1998, Kristen was arrested and charged with 40 counts of murder and attempted murder. Her trial began in 2000, and it became one of the most high-profile cases in the state. The prosecution painted a picture of a cold, calculating killer who used medical knowledge as a weapon. A key witness was her ex-boyfriend, James Perrow. He testified that she had confessed to him and tried to manipulate him into destroying evidence. Other nurses testified to her strange behavior, including whispering to patients who later died and smirking during codes. Prosecutors initially sought the death penalty, but the jury chose life imprisonment. In March 2001, Kristen Gilbert was convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, Kristen Gilbert is serving her sentence at FMC Carswell, a federal medical center for female inmates in Texas. She rarely speaks to the media and has never shown remorse for her actions. From time to time, her case resurfaces in the news, especially in discussions around medical serial killers, an underreported type of offender who hides behind credentials and scrubs. Kristen Gilbert fits the rare but terrifying profile of the angel of death, a medical professional who uses their position to kill. These individuals are often narcissistic and attention-seeking. Some are driven by a hero syndrome, causing crises to then be the one who saves the day. Others kill for control or a god complex. In Kristen's case, psychologists believe she was driven by a mix of narcissism, a need for attention, and a toxic romantic obsession. She did not kill out of hatred. She killed because she could, and because it served her needs. Gilbert's case forced sweeping changes in hospital safety protocols. Medication logs, staff supervision, and emergency response reporting were all revised at VA facilities. Her trial exposed not just an individual monster, but systemic flaws that allowed her to go unnoticed for too long. Veterans and their families continue to express anger and betrayal. For them, justice came too late. The story of Kristen Gilbert is a haunting reminder. Even those we trust most can harbor the darkest secrets. She was a nurse, a mother, a lover, and a murderer. She chose power over compassion, death over duty. If this story gave you chills, please like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest corners of human behavior.